This conference will now be recorded.
You are, I am, one of those things.
I call this meeting to order. Roll call. Shannon.
Commissioner Compost.
Here.
Commissioner Gandy.
Here.
Commissioner Bolt.
Here.
Commissioner Butcher.
Here.
Mayor Trujillo.
Here. Mr. Gandy will lead us in prayer and pledge.
Bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day. Lord, we just thank you for the rain. Lord God, we just thank you for everything you've blessed us with. Lord God, I just pray as we do the city's business tonight that you would give us, the commissioners, the foresight and the knowledge to do what is right for our community. Lord God, I just pray for our staff, our first responders. I pray for our citizens as we go through our day-to-day routines, Lord God, that you would provide us with the things we need. And Lord God, just give us the comfort to know that you're by our side at all times. Lord God, we just thank you again for your son, Jesus Christ. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of Mexico as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with a correction in the action items for removal of resolution 2021-049, approval of the RFP for the industrial park lease.
Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Compost. Is there any discussion? There's no discussion, roll call vote. Shannon.
Commissioner Gandy.
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher.
Yes.
Commissioner Compost.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Do I have another motion?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for considerations of minutes of June 26, 2021.
Second. Motion was made by Commissioner Gandy, second by Commissioner Bernard. Is there any discussion? No discussion, roll call vote. Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt.
Yes.
Commissioner Compost.
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy.
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher.
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Good. Moving on to Commissioner and staff report. Guess I'll start with you, Shannon, so we should go around the table. Anybody got anything, Shannon? Mr. Dodd?
All I have is that me and my team, we're trying to close up the year. So by August 1st, I'll have you more answers if you have any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Dodd? Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Chief Lazar?
Yes, sir. So the senior citizens opened up the center today. They had a very good showing, a bunch of people that came down and played cards. Also did the pool room and the knitting room. So they are open full force now. So seems like it's a good, well-received opening. So the movies or the theater, the movies in the park, we had two showings last week. The first one was kind of a makeup from the weeks before weather. One of those was less attended than the others that we've had, but we were able to show that movie Thursday night at the pavilion at the museum, sorry. And then we had movies at the park on Friday, and that was well received as well. There was plenty of people there. So we've got another movie coming up this Friday. Commissioner Bolt came down and helped set up again that day, and like I was joking with him, we're getting to be pros at it, so it took less time to get it set up. So if anybody's out and about, can come in and watch that movie. I think it's Sonic the Hedgehog this weekend. The library is finishing up their summer reading program. School's just around the corner, which not very many people want to hear, but school's coming up, so they should be finishing up there. With the fire department, we are currently staffed with 5 personnel per shift. And when all this came up, one of the big things that I was looking at was trying to figure out a way to keep from losing any more firefighters. One of the solutions that I had or came up with was trying to utilize the open positions that we currently have that nobody's applying for, and using those salaries to help balance out that 15% reduction. And after careful consideration and very carefully looking at that, we were able to process that today. So these firefighters should be getting their 15% back, and hopefully that'll keep the employees that we have currently with the department. Other than that, that's all.
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
Any questions for Chief? Commissioner Bowe?
Yes, I don't know who I ask, Chief Rodriguez or Mr. Dobbs, as far as getting financial reports. When are we going to start getting them?
Tracy, they're down to 2 people, Mr. Dobbs and Tracy, the only 2, the other ones have left since then. As soon as Tracy gets them to us, she has to usually wait until the 16th to do the reconciliations and all that good stuff, so that we give you actual true numbers, like we've been providing you, versus liabilities versus what we have coming in. So we're running a month and a half behind on it. So as soon as we get them available, I'll always ship them out to the commission. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Bernard?
Yes, I was going to ask Mr. Duncan there on an update on the Avenue R Road, Railroad. Have we heard anything else from the state on that, or is that just?
No, sir, I have not heard anything. I have reached out to Waco 2 other times. I can definitely reach out. I know we had an issue come about on the Lovington Highway, Highway 18, of a gentleman losing a tire. He actually ended up contacting the insurance company with them and their corporate office, I believe down in Alabama, somewhere, contacted him. And so I might just have to go ahead and reach all the way down there and find out exactly what we can do. But as far as getting any feedback from their superintendent, he has not contacted me back.
Back burner right now?
Yes, sir. But I'll definitely reach out again to him and find out if I can contact his supervisor and go a little bit farther into it.
It just concerning all this rain, we have this worse. I drove through that myself, so I
Yes, sir.
appreciate it though. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. David, did you reach out to Stacy? Remind her of the meeting. I don't see her in the crowd.
I got a message on Friday. She wasn't at the office, so hopefully she got it.
Okay, sounds good. Mr. Hargraves, Mike Hargraves from me, that was on our health insurance. He informed me that the closeout date will be 90 days, July 1st. So 90, it'll be July, August, September, October 1st. We'll know what our premium will be. And it's on the positive side. Currently, we're looking at about 200,000, depending on what's happening. What happened in the last 90 days of the fiscal year will depend on the total amount that will be received in return. He did inform me it'd be close to right at 200, not 200 plus 200,000 as a reimbursement premium for the city of Lovington. And he just wanted to say that October 1st, because the other day I mentioned that to you guys. He did call me. He says, by October 1st, I will have the number, the correct number you will be receiving. So, one with Mr. Our treasurer with Mr. Dobb, I'd like to say that he's doing an outstanding job. He's trying to grasp everything at one time. Like you mentioned, by August 1st, he'll be ready to start answering questions, more questions from the board. Right now, his focus is to close out the year. He still has to close out fourth quarter as well as the fiscal year, entire fiscal year 2021. So he has his plate full, and definitely want to take care of that. If not, we get deemed by the state, and then we fall under a different category, different bracket, or we're having to report every month. So we don't want to find ourselves in that predicament. So I don't want to get that and start reaching out to the board commissioner and see what they're needing. Definitely start focusing on the board, ensure that their needs are met. About all I can. Commissioner Campos?
Just one real quick question regarding GRT. I know we don't have the reports, but that's why I'm asking. What's our latest GRT result, and how does that compare with what we've had in the recent months?
For the month of June, we are still trying to figure that out. And the reason we say that, they only paid us for 3 weeks because the state was doing a conversion on their system. So we were shorted 1 week on it, but it was roughly, give or take, about 100,000 shy. But this, in the new month coming up, you will have a total of 5 weeks on that one instead of the regular 4, because those will make up the last week of the month that they did not base.
Let's think about those 4 weeks in June that we're still have coming. How much was it, and how does that compare in relation to May and April and May and March?
The numbers are actually going up as far as the actual amount. I don't have it right now with me, but I'll send you out what the state sends out. And we still have to deduct obviously different projects before the actual true GRPs actually are divulged to you, but I can show you what we actually coming in.
Chief, in your opinion, they're coming up for what you've seen, they're coming up
Yes.
a little bit at least?
At least what we've seen in the last few months, absolutely. Yes. We're definitely spending less than what we're bringing in.
Fantastic.
So by a long shot. Yeah.
And that'll be an Anthony question.
That'd be, I mean, yeah.
I've had 3 days with him, so he's still, he's still got a lot.
Just let us know what's coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, that's all.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Gandy? Thank you, sir. Jalen?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Dave?
Yes, sir. A couple of things, just like the fire chief said, we're doing the same thing at the PD. As a matter of fact, I just lost 2 more. Sunday was their last day. Well, let me phrase that. They were supposed to work up until Sunday. We anticipated them not coming in on that Sunday because obviously they're going to start the next Monday, that same Monday. So we made arrangements for that. However, they failed to show up on Saturday. We called in right at the last minute. So we had to make arrangements for that to come out. But we are still losing them. We did the same thing. I have a total of 9 openings. That does not include the frozen positions. We took the same approach when me and Lizzie discussed it. We're temporarily freezing those positions until the city gives the employees back their money. We will turn around and freeze those positions, but we have to do something to try to keep from the, on that part of it. That does go into effect this pay period, so that has been already calculated. I have discussed it with Mr. Dobbs as well on this issue. Also an update on the property up on North Main Street. That project is still moving forward. The contract is still, they're on the final negotiations with the actual developer, the hotel developer. They had a temporary freeze it until they had the legal descriptions from the quitclaim deed before they could do any updates on their agenda. They are out getting a second quote for the last portion of the electrical side of it. They got one quote and it was $25,000 for one little portion of electricity hookup that they had for the lift station. So they're looking for a second quote to see if it can come back cheaper. Other than that, that project is still going forward. Updates on the operations hours for City Hall. Starting this week, they will be open on Friday for the water department, drive-through only, and the receptionists will be working when they're here as well. The hours, like I said, it's going to be basically 8 to 11:30, and then they're, 8 to 11. That way they can finish doing the counting and all that and get it all closed out. No other department in the city will be, as far as if City Hall will be open, like I mentioned, it's only drive-through hours, starting today, this week. Also, motor vehicle has kind of adjusted their hours. They're no longer using the appointment machine system that they have through the state. They're open to regular walk-ins. Their operations are 8 to 4 Monday through Wednesday, and Thursdays 8 to 2. That way it gives them enough time to process the large accounts of companies that are sending for bin inspections and all that kind of stuff. So we are moving a little slowly, but we're trying to get everything back to normal. But we will, as soon as we can, we'll start opening up some more of the other departments as well.
What was the target date?
August 9th for motor vehicle. Jaylene has advertised it on different areas. We'll put it out so the public does know. Other than that, that's all I have.
There any questions about the board?
Have we heard anything about our COVID care funding?
They filled out the paperwork early last week. Last Friday. No, Friday before.
Yeah, Friday.
They put paperwork on the signature that they needed. They're still waiting for the state to give them a date. They're actually going to release that money. However, the funds now are coming in at 1.4 million this year instead of the originally 1.2. So we'll get half. It's a total of 2.8 that we're getting, but they'll only release half of it this fiscal year, and in the next fiscal year they'll release the second half.
So is it going to be later than anticipated?
It was supposed to be in here in June. The state was supposed to receive their money in May. They did not receive it until the 16th of June, and they have 30 days after that to release it to municipalities. So we're looking at hopefully pretty quickly here to be receiving it soon.
Commissioner Paul, got your question? They said less than 10 days. Right. So why don't we get that answer? I'll ensure that Mr. Dobbs gives you that.
But it's that money, as we anticipated that revenue's coming in. So we had to budget for it in the budget that the commission approved. We have to show those revenues coming through. So that has already been taken care of.
And that was last week, so we're probably down to 7 days. We should have an answer. Any other questions?
Just a quick question, Chief, what are the drive-through hours here at City Hall?
Regular operation hours will be the 8 to 11.
On
Friday only?
Other than that, if City Hall's open Monday to Thursday, the drive-through is 8 to 5 is what they're open.
Thursdays we'll close the doors at 3 and then leave the drive-through until 5.
Yeah, just
Thursdays
to
we
clarify that,
close.
Somebody here,
yeah, clarify that
the water
clerk
department
will
will
just, the receptionist will just answer the phone. She won't have the phone. So that's all she'll be doing, taking calls, anybody calling in till 11 o'clock. Any other questions on the board? Quiet?
Mayor Commissioners, as you see, we have another barricade situation on Main Street that happened late Thursday night, Friday morning. We worked on it until I believe we restored full pressure and all the valves open, everything about 3:30, 4 o'clock that morning. We are waiting on New Mexico DOT to replace that line. We can't wait. It seems like we do not. During the last one that we had, we actually had a valve break in the on position when we're trying to crank it down to isolate it. That's currently why we had to reduce pressure again on this last leak. But we, like I stressed, we cannot wait until DOT is working with us to replace the water and sewer lines going down Main Street. They're getting old and deteriorated. They're cast iron lines, lead joints, and we actually had to replace almost, it was right about 6 foot of line that we cut out, so and replaced. But other than that, just working DOT. I am still currently, I did reach out to them, Constructors Inc., to get the summary of their timeline, and he is working with New Mexico DOT to be able to release that to me. So I am currently working on with constructors side. DOT instantly told me no, that they would not, but constructors, the working relationship that the city has with constructors, they're gonna go ahead and try to release that information. So I did stress to them that the commission would like to give it or have it on file or have it to kind of show the patrons of the city of Lovington exactly these are kind of what we're gonna be sticking to in case you guys get any questions or I get any questions about it. So still currently working on that. I did talk with David about the cobblestone project. The electrical portion did come in way higher than it wasn't originally bid on the form. So when it came back, they want to go ahead and go for an additional bid to see if they can get it further down. But we still are currently working on trying to finalize that project to get the refund. That's all that I have.
There any questions about the board?
So, couple of things. How are they gonna do as far as, with Avenue D, Main, as far as they're gonna be replacing the water lines and the sewer lines? Now, we know we're having issues with the stuff that's in the ground right now. How are they gonna, you're gonna be taking new, joining in the old. How are we gonna not have problems with the state of the pipes that are in the ground now, where they're gonna be joining them all together?
On the, Mr. Bolt, at the intersection of Avenue E and New Mexico 18 Main Street, it's 16-inch line crossing the road heading east and east to west. That's the line they're actually going to be tying into. And they do sell it's a compression fitting. It's almost like a sleeve that goes around and encapsulated. They'll go ahead and tap it and put on the new line. So all the new line is going to be in place, ready to be, and then go all the way down to Jackson Avenue, which is our next 16-inch main line. And they're tying into that one. So everything, those ones aren't an issue, 16-inch AC lines. We're just having a problem with the cast lines. And they will be encapsulated, flow fields, backfilled, everything. But they're gonna put it in place of the new line and then discontinue after everything's tied.
How many cast iron feeders are gonna be coming off that main line?
I believe there's only going to be two.
Mhm.
And actually two crossings, which is going to be Washington. Actually, there's going to be more than that. There's going to be Washington, Avenue A, where they cross, and they're going to be tying in. And then there is one more, I believe, down on Jefferson that is going to be tied in on one side of the road. And we're going to be a possibility of outside of the scope of work, because they're going to be going, I believe it's going to be 60 foot out of the roadway on either side of the laterals to replace the lines and to do tie-ins. So it'll be outside the brand new roadway that it will be in case we do have a future. But all the infrastructure inside the city of Lovington needs attention.
And that's why I was, hoping that you guys wouldn't end up getting more work off of that project, wherever there's a joint, wherever there's a union going from old to new, because I don't want to see you out there anymore than you have to be.
Yes, sir.
Nobody else does either. As far as, like I said, with them drawings and plans, as far as that, like I said, I'd like to have them, but I feel that the businesses, because that's going to be affecting the businesses that are in Main Street.
Timeline of when they're going to, yes, sir.
And that way there they know if it's going to be shut down in front of the store, if they have to have back entry, all that comes into play. So that's my concern on that, as far as letting people know, the public and the store owners.
And I know the conference or the pre-construction meeting that me and myself and David sat through, the public information officer was definitely going to reach out to all the businesses down the main streets and let them know, kind of give them the timeline of when they're going to. I know the alleyway on the backside of, in between Washington and Central, was going to be utilized for the Main Street businesses. And a lot of the businesses going down utilize the alleyways. But I know the public information officer was going to reach out to them, as well as putting it out on our Facebook sites and everything, letting them know. So, but I'll push a little harder, see if I can't get that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Patrick,
Mayor and Commissioners, nothing new to report.
is there any questions by the board? No questions about the board. I'm going to move on to public comment.
Mayor, Commissioners, I did have some updates that I wanted to share with all of you regarding our court project. I also wanted to mention and share with you that this is probably for the magistrate court on the last week that we're going to be working remotely, or we're going to start reconvening with in-person hearings starting next week. Now, with that being said, it's a little vague. I'm not exactly sure what we're instructed to reconvene in person and whatnot. They basically said anything where there's a possibility that somebody gets remanded into custody. Anybody who's familiar with the New Mexico code will notice that even like most minute traffic citations could theoretically carry a possible jail sentence, even though that's extremely rare. So I don't know if that means that we're going to have to do traffic cases in person or what. We also are still going to have restrictions on the number of people that can be in the courtroom at a time. So that is going to be a little tricky, especially if we're having pretty busy prelim dates and pretrial dates. My guess right now is that the prelims are going to be in person, the preliminary hearings for felony cases. The pretrials will not; they'll continue remotely. But we're going to have a lot of we're going to have to juggle that a little bit because we're going to have a lot of officers, a lot of witnesses, a lot of attorneys for our court hearings, and we're only going to have a limited number of people that can be in at any given time. Now, with that being said, though, tomorrow around lunchtime, I have a meeting with the presiding district court judge. All of the judges here in the Fifth are going to be taking part in this meeting. We should have some clarification as to what hearings are going to be done in person, which ones are going to remain being done by Zoom or Google Hangout. So Chief Rodriguez, I will certainly get you that information as soon as I know and get a little more clarification. My understanding is the 19th, we're going to start reconvening at least some in-person hearings in addition to the jury trials. As for the court, we did have a recent meeting with the architect, the head of the AOC, and with members of the AOC and the construction team. There has been some of this is repeating what I said at the last meetings. I just want to clarify some of this information though. We are still projected to be under budget, under the projected costs. One of the main reasons for that is the move from a metal to an alternative structure. Now, there's additional fees that are increasing. That's been a 30% increase in material and labor. We're up about 83,000 in architectural fees and 80 to 90,000 in additional services, but still under the projected cost that we were initially looking at. Now, there is going to be in back an overflow lot behind the new court. That is going to be the overflow lot right now is tentatively not going to be paved. It's going to be compact gravel, but because we're coming in under budget, we may be able to pave that. That's just the overflow lot. It's not going to be the parking lot for the general public or for the staff. The circular design is going to be put in place in the parking lot so that we shouldn't, or excuse me, in the courtroom, excuse me. So that was one of the main changes from the original architectural design. And what that basically means is we're not going to have attorneys or general public inmates and defendants crossing paths. It's going to hopefully allow us to keep people separated, and in particular people in custody will be brought in separately in a sort of a more secure area, so we don't have the interaction and basically everybody crammed together like we have right now. The start date, I should say the date for having the architectural design complete has not changed. They're looking at October 1st. And one thing I'd like to clarify from the last meeting is at this meeting, they basically said that the groundbreaking can take place immediately. We're not going to have to wait. So we could be having our groundbreaking as early as October 1st for our new court. And the other thing they did clarify I was told by the previous architect, or a previous architect with this company who had just retired. And I tried to pin him down, and the chiefs and the mayor were there. I tried to pin him down, how much time are we looking at from groundbreaking to completion? He was, as an attorney, was in the same situation, was very elusive, and you kept saying it depends, which I was very impressed. That was law school 101 right there. But we finally did kind of pin him down. He said around 12 to 18 months. I talked to the architectural team at this meeting, and that timeline was assuming a lot of things going wrong. So they were saying that from the groundbreaking, we may be looking at July 1st, 2022, having the building done. Now, with that being said, anybody who's following the district court project knows a lot can happen between October 1st and July 1st, 2022. But we're looking at a pretty exciting timetable and timeline in regards to that. We are also, they were also talking about the bonds and the bond payments, as well as the total cost. Now, I had in my notes that the total cost of the project's at $6.4 million. And like I said, I'm not sure if that was taken into account that it's still under budget or where that came in. But I will note that we are going to start having regular meetings. So if any of the commissioners or any of you who have any questions, I can bring them up at each of these meetings and start having regularly. Next meeting is going to be Wednesday, the 21st at 3:30. But they did also talk about the bond payment. The bond payments that the city is making can be covered and a possible increased lease payment. They did provide some options in regards to how to cover the bond payment since we're a little obviously behind schedule on that. And the AOC advised that since we're not occupying the building yet, they couldn't basically cover the bond payment in that regards, but that they can be paid. It can be covered in payment and potential increased lease payment. But I was mostly focusing on the structure. So any questions regarding that too, you can pass it to me and I can share them with the architectural team or the AOC, and I can get you answers to any of those questions. Yeah, if there's any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer.
Commissioner Bolt, did you get that payment last time? 241?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, it was a 241 payment, little over 241,000. And last March and this next March, 2022 will be the same payment, but they did state they would increase lease payment to compensate the $500,000 loss. I mean, payment is not.
We'll still be obligated to pay, but we'll.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Well, it was already structured in our bonds that we had money available in case there was any hiccups, so we'll cover it one more time, but we will be reimbursed for the $500,000.
And once again, if any of you have a question that comes to you, between now and March 21st, or excuse me, not March, July 21st, please let me know, and I will be sure to ask those questions and get you an answer after that. So.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you, Judge. During other public comment? Moving on to discussion items. Hey.
Mayor Commissioner, I'm going to turn it over to White. This is White.
Mayor and Commissioners, before I get started, I would just like to introduce Baby Kirby, Troy Ratliff, from our local funeral home. So if there's any further questions or anything that they could answer, they are in the audience. I do have Oscar here also with the cemetery, just in case there's anything that I missed or leave out that they would like to add. But, excuse me, but it was brought to, actually as a discussion item to actually increase some of the fees that we do currently have out there after Oscar did all the legwork for the kind of over the last 6 months of contacting other municipalities and other cities that are kind of roughly arranged around us I did put some paperwork in front of you. It's actually the current Lovington, and down that left side, you can see Hobbs, Tatum, Artesia, Jowl, and Eunice. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that surround us that we did get prices on, you can see that the main lot fee is $575 in Hobbs. Tatum, they just have a base of on $300 for the adult size lot. Artesia is a $450, Jowl is $350, and Eunice is a $500. Based upon their infant, their child's lots, it ranges 145, 150, 150, 150. They do have some other fees that are included in Hobbs, Artesia, and Eunice that actually it's a perpetual fee. It's actually a one-time fee that's paid to the municipality when they pay and buy the lot. That actually is for the maintenance of the lot, mowing, weed eating, just the care for the lifetime of that lot. So it gives that care back over to the municipality that they won't have to come out and do their own. So at the proposal, you can kind of see, I didn't give copies of these, but if you guys would like some, I can definitely get them to you at the end. City of Hobbs, they actually have some other fees that are included in here. As you can see on ours, that shows the current lot fee for the infant. Perpetual fee is the $0. We do not currently charge for that. A monument setting fee, we do not currently charge for that. And then the deed recording fee, when they actually purchase the lot from the city of Lovington, there's a $25 deed fee that once the lot is paid for, it is for the county assessor because it is a piece of property. So the fee goes directly to the county on that. So City of Hobbs does the monument setting fee. Artesia does the transfer, or that's another one that I was like to talk about is the transfer of the deed fee. Saying that a family came in and bought 10 lots or reserved 10 lots and they hadn't paid off in 5 years or however, they can actually come over and another individual will buy those lots that they're unused. And currently right now, we do not have any kind of a transfer fee so it would be on us for the $25 to transfer that lot over into the new individual's name. So for the proposed, the city of Lovington is looking at going up to $450 for the regular lot fee, adult lot fee, the infant from 75 up to 150, a perpetual fee of $50, and a monument setting / permit fee of $30. And I would like to also include the transfer deed or lot fee of $25. Another, as the second page, it's actually almost the current contract of Lovington City Cemetery payment contract. It does state in that contract that there's a 20% down payment when they currently come in and buy. That's per lot, 20%. So you can see that $300 for the lot current, $25 filing fee, which is the $325. $60 would have to be put down. They would have to have a balance of $260. It does not state anywhere in the Lovington Cemetery payment contract or in our rules and regs how long they have to pay that off. Currently, right now, we have, I believe Shannon and Oscar got together, there's over 60 active open accounts that we're actually invoicing out to try to get them to pay. So I would like to remand or kind of go back and do a draft contract where it actually goes up on the percentage down. I definitely get with Shannon, or you guys kind of give a percent down to go up maybe to a 40% down to, or leave it at the 20 and put 6 months, they have to pay off that contract in full. I know one thing that it does state in here in the city of Lovington, pursuant resolution, that rules and regulations, and it does state in there that it has to be paid off in full to be able to have the service. They will not release the service unless the lot is paid in full. So it does state in the contract currently right now, it just doesn't have any statement of a time frame when they need to be paid off. Other than that, there's in the rules and regs, you can kind of see, in the rules and regs, it does kind of state that in the monument setting fee, the city of Eunice, I was gonna kind of see if you guys would consider, it says on the monument permit fees, actually the setting fees and permit fees, kind of almost piggyback, all monument permit fees must be paid prior to the beginning of any work to the monument. Permits must be obtained from City Hall, the permit fee of $30. All monuments must have a concrete foundation that conforms to the size specifications hereby set forth. So Oscar, talking with Oscar earlier, City of Hobbs, on any of their newer lots and any of their newer sections, they are actually requiring the concrete foundation to be in place underneath that monument. It does give a more uniform pathway. It does say our plots are currently, I believe, 5 by 10. So the full head of that gravestone site will be a 14-inch by 5-foot placement of concrete, and then their monument will be actually placed on top of that. So as far as weeding and or care, prior care or any future care, running the lawnmower down, it'll be definitely away from the monument since it is 14 inches wide. It's just a little bit better care and better uniform, a kind of sleek pathway down that everyone will be set. That would be one of the other things that I would like to almost implement in on the monument setting fees if the commission decides or gives us direction
So
on that.
who would be responsible for this?
The monument company would actually be required, it would be in our rules and regs that to place the monument, they would actually be an additional cost that the monument company would have to charge the
What's the idea what that fee is, what they charge for doing
I'm not exactly sure currently what it might be an additional charge. I know on my father's headstone, we did the flat section. I know it was almost $600 or $700 just for them to make the stone and come and set it. So I believe, I know concrete is $1, or actually it's 106 a yard right now. So they might an additional $150, $200, but I wouldn't quote my on that, but there would be possibly an additional fee, but I can definitely have Oscar get with Sadler and Sons and see if there would be an extra charge if we did. Yes, sir.
I understand, like you said, uniformity and we'll keep your stones from tipping and everything else. I understand.
And with the sediment of I know currently right now, they wait about 2 months, but 2 to 3 months, depending on the stones and everything else, how long it takes to make them and everything. So it gives a chance for the soil to go back and impact and everything else. So there are many out there. I've been helping Oscar for the last couple of weeks, and there are some that are sinking in and do need to be lifted back up. But with that uniform or with concrete underneath it, will give them a platform to where they will be more stable.
And if someone comes in and wants to find loved ones, like, I know it's back in the days when my family was, 2 boards before a headstone, we just had those flat plates.
Yes, sir.
A lot of those are gone. A lot of people ask about that, they know the vicinity about where the people are buried, but does the city have those records to locate them?
We definitely,
Or who would they get? It's hard as finding a location. Yeah, actually, just to know who's buried there, I mean, you might say, for instance, I might say, well, my aunt was buried here, but yes, we have our records. So they would actually contact you.
Yes, anybody that wants to know where a location is or where a family member is,
they can get with me and I can locate it.
We do. I know talking with Oscar a couple of weeks back when we did prior to Memorial Day, David Minton was actually out there getting a lot of the older headstones that weren't record or recorded or anything, kind of putting some of those markers out. So I do thank him for that. Kind of the historic, I know you were saying back in the 1800s and early 1900s were some of the ones that he was going out to market. So that's really generous of him to taking his time out, but kind of a history of our cemetery.
He's been a few of those to see if I have records in our records with everything we have.
So the question was asked on that resolution would be a 6-month payout with 20% down. What would we recommend?
Question for Patrick, have you ever dealt with any of these contracts for cemeteries or not?
Not other than the city of Lovington. Normally, the way I would look at the contract is if there was a certain issue, someone hadn't paid out a certain amount of time, we're gonna send a letter off, those types of things. So we can take a look and see what other municipalities use. Normally, that's one of the ways to start because they've been put through the test, so to speak. And so we can take a look at them and see what other municipalities are using and then come up with something that fits for Lovington.
Want to do further discussions?
I would think look into it and see.
Yeah, maybe come back to next board meeting.
I can definitely come back with more of a draft on the contract, but as far as the proposed lot fees, infant, perpetual fee, monument setting fees, and the transfer fees, are you guys with the discussion or would move forward on those amounts, or would you like to consider different amounts?
Well, also, I think you need to also state that our last fiscal year, we had a negative balance of a little over 50,000. So this would help narrow the gap. It won't entirely close the gap, but it'll help narrow it to not have a loss in that in the cemetery. It's not, might not be, sound like a lot of money, but we have equipment and so forth out there that needs upgrading and so forth. But I think it will help. But I'm good. Yes, sir.
I like the transfer fee that Artesia has for, if you buy it and then you, for some reason, decide to bury or something, that transfer fee there, I'm on board with that. The infant one, I struggle with that one. It's a difficult time for families. And $50, it's double the price there, but I don't know. I figure only go up 100. I don't know. Soft spot, I guess. One of the few. The other thing on the contract is if someone doesn't pay that out, I think this was mentioned by both, but we need a time frame, and then are we able to keep that money, or do we have to reimburse those people if they don't fill that out?
Commissioner Gandy, it does state in the current contract, which I believe I did, it says the city of Lovington also reserves the right to terminate this contract if payment is not received, and as stated above, in the event of the contract termination and any and all funds previously paid on this contract will not be refunded.
Okay, all right, sounds good to me.
So I think just coming up with a little better draft of the 20%, if you guys would like to see that increased to 30, 35, or however much, and then give
I think a time.
definitely a time with a payment ending within 6 months.
Yeah, because loved ones will be buried there already, and the people are gonna say, oh no, that's my spot, even though it's repossessed or whatever, they're gonna try to lay claim.
Well, that's one of the things that it does state that in the event of a burial, full payment and any spaces to be used must be paid in full before services are conducted for the deceased. So prior to, they have to pay that one lot off. It's just the secondary lots that the people do buy that they have taken years and years to pay.
Two quick questions, Mayor, Wyatt or Patrick even. How much money is owed on these back fees? And do we have a mechanism in place to recoup those amounts?
Currently, right now, I did speak with Oscar earlier and said that they invoiced out over 60 invoices for people that haven't paid. So I'm unsure. I'm not sure that on the amount, but say that they only put the $65 down, 260 times the 60, that's what we've been trying to pay. They might make a payment, but it does state in the contract that it is on the contract person to make the payment. We will not invoice, but we are invoicing out to them. We just don't have it in the contract stating when we can terminate the lease.
Any suggestions there, Patrick, for the people that are already in this situation?
Well, I think it's going to be tough dealing with some of the ones that are already under these contracts, because you can't just go back and change the terms and conditions. And so this contract was probably put together, I would guess, maybe the basic form of it in the 60s. I'd have to take a look and see when this other resolution was put in here. It could have been updated since, but we have a lot more people, there's a lot more things going on, a lot more issues. And so the ones that are already in place, I think we're going to have to just deal with those issues. I think we can put a new contract in place and move forward and avoid some of that. But other than sending out a notice to them saying, hey, we have an payment, we're giving you every single opportunity to do this. If not, we've got to take a look at some other action. And then we've got to look at where we are as far as what's been transferred over with the deed. Is it transferred at the time of getting payment? Is it transferred at the end, once it's paid in full, that we're in a better spot? So, but ones that are under those terms and conditions, we're just going to have to, deal with any of the issues as they come up.
Keep us informed on that one. Thanks.
Yes, sir. You guys have any questions for Ms. Purdy or Mr. Rabbit?
Wyatt, would you mind telling me again what the basic fees were for the grade?
Is 75 to 150. The current is more proposed.
And I have one more question on the definition of services. If you just went out there and just buried someone without like a church or a chapel service or something, there was a little bit of confusion, I think, the way that was worded.
Okay. Currently on, from what I explained, or in our rules and regs?
I would think it was just meaning internally.
Internally, yeah.
Internally.
It
Okay.
says internally, yeah.
Okay.
I'll ask a question.
If you don't mind coming up to the podium, I allowed you guys briefly because I thought you guys would be short and sweet.
Yeah. You know, I always have something to say.
If the perpetual care amount is implemented, and I have no idea about municipalities, the attorney would need to speak to that. But I do know that private cemeteries are instituted and they charge a perpetual care fee. A major portion of those funds have to go into a trust fund to perpetuate the cemetery. They are only allowed to keep and use as an operating amount a small portion of those funds. So I would suggest you do some due diligence and check that situation.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Want to make a rough draft and we can decide on what the amount is on the next meeting.
Yes,
Our
sir.
amounts, so we could write in amounts and so forth, the percentage in the months that would allow them to pay it off. So if you want to clean everything up and bring it to the board.
Most definitely.
Any other questions? Thank you, Wyatt.
Yes, sir, Mayor Commissioner. The next item we have on the agenda is discussion of Parks and Rec board positions. We have two terms that have expired, Evan Levine and Rachel Gallagher. Rachel Gallagher has reached out to staff and stated that due to her busy schedule, she will not be seeking that position again. We are asking for anybody that is interested in that position to let us know, so we go out, we're going to start advertising for that and hopefully bring it to y'all for the next meeting.
Is there any questions about the board? Thank you. Moving on to action items, do I have a motion?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-045, designation of polling place for March 2022 municipal office election.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Compost. Shannon?
Yes, this is just designating City Hall is our polling, is our one place for the election that's going to take place March 1st, 2022.
Is there any discussion by the board? There's no discussion by the board, again, roll call.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mr. Compost.
Yes.
Mayor Petito.
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2021-047, approval of green insurance rate increase.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Compost, second by Commissioner Gandy. David?
Yes, sir, Mayor and Commissioners, I don't see Ms. Reed out here in the audience, but what this is the coverage through travelers. They review it once a year. It has gone up based on the difference for House Bill 4. Stacy provided the city with the documents of some of the line items, the coverages went down, but some of them went up. Particularly the House Bill 4 is the one that's seen the highest increase on it. Total increase that we're going to have to, the difference from last year to this year is right about $59,000. I tried to get an actual firm number for her from Thursday and Friday, and she was out of the office. But she did send us an estimate of no more than $59,000 for all the coverage. It does go into effect now for the new change on it. We were just needing approval from the commission on the resolution to move forward with it.
David, the only thing was my concern, I was hoping she'd be here because when you and I had that discussion, when I had a discussion with her, we were only going to have an increase of 20,000 now and 30,000 later. Correct. We haven't made that decision if we're going to go with the Bill 4.
Correct. And when I spoke to her assistants that were there working, when I was doing these motions, these resolutions, they said the total price for the total increases of everything that they told you was $59,000. That way we were not covered in the meantime if we were going to do it, because we were going to come back again later on and do the same increase on it, because you're not going to be covered for any of the liabilities that you're going to be opened up to.
Chief, what was the increase last year? Do you remember?
Off of last year's, no, sorry, I didn't get those last year numbers, so the previous administration had those. I think it was, I think it's safe that.
But the House Bill 4 is the one that really just kills us in the police department.
It shows 30,000 out of that stack right there.
It opens up not only the police department, the fire department does as well. It opens up the board of commissions. It does everybody, so that increases. It's to cover everybody, not just one department itself.
No, you are correct.
There was an increase to law enforcement from the 1990. Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, that's the increase that they're looking to go up on for the 2 mil per claim. Yes. That was the highest increase, was the difference on that.
So that all added in, that 9 added in with our other, we have numerous ones going up, one going down, comes to 57
Yeah.
57,000.
And she said once they added their fees or whatever they added on there, she said you would be no more at the high end. So,
That's included in it for the house.
yes.
Any questions about the board? If there's no other question about the board, roll call vote, Jen?
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. One more note on that. I know the board did have some concern because they did request Gary to go out for bid on it, and we did not. So I know it's a year out, but definitely want to make sure.
For the insurance,
Insurance.
I was out on vacation when this all happened, so I had.
No, I read that one.
Yes,
I'm not about Gary, our finance director.
Stacy has, when I spoke to her the last go around, she was too busy trying to close out this year's, and she said we would be more than glad to look at it to go out for new bidding. Yes, we are working with that with Stacy on that part.
At least a couple.
Correct, correct. We are working on that.
Do have a motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2021-048, approval of fiscal year 2021 inventory.
Second.
Motion was made by Commissioner Bernard, second by Commissioner Compost.
Yes, sir, Mayor and Commissioner, we are required by June 30th to give a report, not only to the auditor, but to the state as well, as our consumable inventory, what we have per department. Attached, you'd see on the agenda that it does break it down on the departments, the quantities of disposable stuff that we use on a regular basis. So that'll be our total count on hand as of June 30th.
Is there any discussion on the board on inventory? There's no discussion. Roll call vote, Jen.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Compost,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Resolution passes. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, maybe we should pay the bills.
Or approval? Oh, yeah, we did take that off. Motion made by Commissioner Gandy, second by.
Sorry, did I skip one? I'm sorry.
We all skip.
God, who's gonna, if you have any questions, Mr. Dodd, you have to. But you want to explain what you're sending out? to
Oh, yeah.
the board And what you, in your future.
The accounts payable, the vendor history report, got a little more detail in the reports. I hope y'all like these better. It shows the actual, the vendor, the description, and I'm gonna have them start on the description, what department comes out of, so kind of fast look at, like, okay, this coming out of ambulance or public works. So it gives more description for y'all to look at. So if you have any questions with this, you just kind of refer to this. If you have more questions, just let me know, and I'll try to answer it the best I can.
We'll start issuing those out. He sent me just the one that he gave us, but I updated the agenda.
Okay.
So on the next commission meeting, we will start updating. That way y'all have all the details ahead of time. So what's going on.
What I'd like to see, because our visas are going up
Yes.
$6,000. They were little amounts, you might not question some of them, but with that amount, I'd like to have them, that they're itemized, so we can see what we're putting our monies on.
I think
He did some changes as well as how they recorded. Now he's recording it by department.
Yes, sir.
Instead of just the credit card number, he's putting what departments are the ones that are.
And I would appreciate that, so we can see where it's being spent.
Yeah.
He's working on those changes already.
Yeah, so let's say Visa, the number, then just say, so it
Yes.
should help you out a little bit more.
Appreciate it.
And do we currently, like, say we go to pick them up, do the workers or employees call in to their supervisor for a PO number?
They're
Or they
supposed to have the PO ahead of time before they go. The only time that that's an exception is during the weekends when we cannot get a PO approved. But that is far in between when we do those. Usually we get it anticipated ahead of time. But they are required to have a PO ahead of time prior to any purchase.
Okay, what, do we have a number of what they're allowed to spend up
The
before that?
supervised, no, if it's a bolt and the washer that they buy, they have to have a PO.
Let me ask you, on the weekends, that they don't have a PO, how do they get it?
The credit card, those far in between charges is what those credit cards are supposed to be used for, transfers for emergencies like that, where we have no access to that.
So we will be able to
Yes, sir.
see that.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate the fact that it's one page.
The majority of it being Bob, some of it was. No, we have not had anything like that. We tried, but it won't.
Really? Next time. I'll think of it all next time, so let's just go to one page.
I did want to point out that Mr. Dodd did have some concerns about the visa commission vote, so he is addressing, I think he's pretty much on the same page as you are. So,
I do, Mayor, Commissioners, I do want to point out the Strong Power Electric for the 2,252.25. That was actually the accident that happened down at our entry sign. The insurance company is refunding us that money.
It also lists we're paying Gary Chapman $610.50. What's that for?
We have had to call Gary several times, since everybody under that current administration has left in the finance department, and we needed access to some kind of guidance as to finishing the state reports, the budgets, and that kind of stuff, because we didn't have any of those documents. So he was here briefly. That was probably 2 weeks combined periodically that he was coming in and out to help us on those issues.
Commissioner Campos, he will be here again.
He will have to come in Wednesday to help Mr. Dobbs with the final year closing and the fourth quarter adjustments, so that he has an idea of what he needs to do on that side of it. He has run into some other issues where I believe, my opinion is he could work through those issues, but the majority where we're on a deadline that we have to meet, we are having to utilize his services since he is the one familiar with the system.
And he is helping.
Absolutely. Anytime we call, he is more than helpful. He comes down if he can. I mean, sometimes less than 20 minutes here. So he has been very good.
Thank you.
Turn to the question about the board. No further questions, roll call vote, Shannon.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Commissioner Campos,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Accounts payables are paid. Commissioner Campos, will you lead us into closed session?
Yes, sir. Let me motion that we go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1, New Mexico State annotated 1978, subsection 7, pending or threatened litigation, Glasgow construction.
Second. Motion in favor, Mr. Campos, second by Bernard. Roll call, Shannon.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
Yes.
Commissioner Campos.
Yes.
Commissioner Bolt,
Yes.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes, we are in closed session.
Yeah.